people could be injured or harmed by this situation that may take place. Again, if he comes out with a weapon, then I'm sure you're going to see something take place that we don't want to watch on television. But the fact of the matter is they have to protect themselves, and they have to take this individual into custody. They're not going to stop the pursuit. They're not going to call the pursuit off. Again, it's just one of these very slow speeds now, and basically playing and toying, encouraging the officers, encouraging them, frustrating them, basically, by the movement. Again, extremely slow, comes to a stop, and doesn't exit the car. So as you see some of the police cars driving now with the doors open, now we'll see the individual speed up again. The suspect now going to take off, and they'll keep following. This will happen as long as he wants to continue or she wants to continue in this particular action. They know it's a stolen vehicle. It's been reported stolen. So we know we have a serious situation with this individual, and the lack of cooperation is just creating a negative environment on the individual and compounding the issues for the police to use the proper procedures and tactics to bring this to an end, a successful end.
So this reportedly stolen red KIA Sorrento, that's what we've been watching. You can see we may have just gotten off the screen here just because of, it looks like he may have exited the northbound 110. It's hard to get, he did. The suspect did exit the 110 onto surface streets now. Dennis, what does this look like? Okay, so now that we're on surface streets, CHP then is going to back off?
No, once the CHP gets involved, they'll remain involved. I have not seen them. Maybe they're tied up in traffic trying to get to the location. They're going to use cars. They're not going to use motorcycles to chase this individual. So hopefully the CHP will join the pursuit. I'm sure this individual will go back on the freeway unless decides to give up while on the surface street. But again, on the surface street, we have a lot of hazards. We got the parked cars, we got the driveways, we got the bicycles, the pedestrians. We have a lot of factors that come into play on a surface street. Much more hazard, much more danger on a surface street than there is on a freeway. And as we see this individual now traveling in an area where you have occupied individuals, you see the hazards that are inherent in this. Traffic lights, cross traffic, stop signs, everything you can imagine just creates a greater hazard for the general public. The officers have to use extreme caution. They'll continue to follow. We know there's a number of units in that particular area along with the air unit. So they'll follow at a safe distance. We know this individual is playing games with them by the stopping, the starting on the freeway, off the freeway. It looks like, again, we're going to see that same kind of tactic, stop and then speed up again, back and forth. So the officers are not going to turn around and go home. They're going to continue until this situation comes to a successful conclusion. That means the suspect taken to custody and the cars recovered, hopefully returned to the rightful owner in a good condition without being involved in any kind of collision along the way.
By the way, we're also hearing that the driver here is in contact with the LAPD via the phone, talking to dispatch, and now you have this driver is communicating as the driver is driving with the LAPD. So what kind of communication do you think is taking place there, Dennis? Do they then, if they're talking to some sort of a dispatch or a 911 dispatch, as it approaches another intersection here, do they get negotiators on the phone there?
Well, it's interesting, Bobby, how the communication took place. Did the individual call 911? Did the police have information on this individual, have a phone number to contact him, the suspect? It's interesting, but the bottom line is they're going to say, pull the car over and stop and surrender, and let's resolve this matter peacefully. It's not unusual for people to be talking on the phone driving down the street, as we know that happens all the time. Did he call, or she, the suspect, did the suspect call 911 and say, the officers are in pursuit of me and I want to talk to someone? They don't have negotiators at quickly disposal through communications. They can obtain them quickly. But this is a highly unusual situation where you see the individual in communication on the telephone with the police, whether it's the 911 center, a communications dispatch, or a detective or a police officer, or whatever the case may be that the individual is talking to. But whoever they're talking to on the police department is going to encourage them to pull over, stop, and surrender and bring this to a peaceful ending. That's what they're going to say.
It looks like, so back on the freeway here, we just saw the Bank of California Stadium off to the right there on the freeway. And then it did look like he's throwing some things out of the window. Are you seeing trash or something being thrown from the driver's side window?
There goes more material being thrown out the window. So there were reports earlier that the driver was throwing other things out of the window. So as we've seen, it continues this very erratic behavior of this driver not only with the stop and go, the flailing of the arms out the window, and now throwing some items that were inside the vehicle out of the driver's side window.
We know that in California, in Los Angeles in particular, we have some incredible situations that take place. We'll see one of them playing out now with this situation. We saw what happened at the motorhome just a few days ago. These are situations that take place in the city of Los Angeles on the roadways, the freeways. Now you see, again, driving at a speed, not stopping, not slowing down, not baiting the officers as was previously viewed. Again, now we're going on the surface street. So now we have the inherent hazard again with the cross-traffic, pedestrians, bicycles, etc., off the freeway, on the freeway, now off the freeway once again. The traffic lights, a situation where you've got cross-traffic, a lot of hazards.
Yeah, now speed's really picking up here, and we understand this is Figueroa. Let's check in with Vinnie Mac. Oh, that was a close call.
Wow.
You're going to see a close call here at an intersection. Vinnie Mac.
Wow.
Where are we here?
We're on Figueroa going northbound. We're probably down around 60th and 65th Street, something like that at the moment. He's going to run into a bunch of traffic here. But that was a very close call back there, just like when that pedestrian stepped out from that trash barrel in that alley back there. And but now he's really jeopardizing public safety here tenfold from what he was before.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it looked like the driver on Figueroa now on other surface streets here, and continues to weave through traffic, just threaded through that intersection, drove without regard of cross traffic at a very high rate of speed, and just almost threaded the needle there, and narrowly
going under
missed
the freeway again.
Narrowly missed another vehicle. We're looking at other pedestrians there that are going to be here on the roadway too. You see people walking around in the South L.A. area, and looks like potentially.
Oh, it looks like. So now the driver is out, and you'll see this here.
Okay, this is
exchanging handshakes with this woman here, and then two other men. Basically, is given a high five.
These were like homeless encampments just on the side of the freeway, and it looks like the driver sees. Now the driver's doing donuts in the middle of the intersection there, almost doing some kind of a.
Definitely playing games, putting on a show of some sort.
Wow.
Here.
All right, so the driver now continuing to do these donuts at various intersections throughout the South L.A. area, stopping at these homeless encampments on the side of the road, talking to the people living there with their stuff on the side of the freeway, giving them high fives, handing them stuff, grabbing stuff from them. But this pursuit takes a very bizarre turn as it enters onto the surface streets just along the 110 freeway, and the driver on that surface street now stopping and talking to people living along the freeway.
Sure, and finally we're seeing LAPD come up right behind, the door opens, and the driver takes off. So here we are paralleling the 110 freeway, more erratic behavior going through this intersection. Dennis Zine, have you ever seen anything like that before?
I have not seen it to this degree, where they're stopping and talking to people and doing the donuts. Again, this individual, I would bet, has been to jail before. This is not a first-time offender. Whatever the previous charges were, I'm sure they were serious, and this individual knows he's going to go to jail and just having a good time before that takes place, and driving in this careless, hazardous, reckless manner, and basically playing the fool and utilizing the streets as the platform, endangering lives of people, endangering the lives of everyone, including the suspect himself or herself. It's just ridiculous what we see happening, and the officers want to bring this car into custody. Again, it's a stolen car. Yeah. So that car is utilized by someone for their job, to travel. This is a car that someone's paying for, and this individual...
Now the door opens here at this intersection, and the driver motioning. Either this driver is under the influence of something, or has some mental issues, or maybe both.
It would not surprise. Not surprise me. But I'm sure this individual's been to jail before. This behavior is highly unusual. As far as the driving pattern, it's bizarre. whether it's intoxicated or high on some kind of drug. You can speculate, but the bottom line is the individual is creating the hazard for a lot of people, including himself or herself, and the lives of the officers as they're trying to bring this to an end, a peaceful ending. And we see the individual keep playing games, doing all kinds of maneuvers in that car, and the situation with the homeless encampment, that is highly unusual. But again, nothing surprises me when we come to a pursuit in the city of Los Angeles. As we've seen many, we've covered many of them, and we see every time something unique, something different, and this is one of those unique situations where this individual is careless, reckless, and endangering a lot of lives by the driving pattern, by the activity.
So here at this intersection, slows down. You're getting a look at now coming to a complete stop. You're seeing the driver's side, a glimpse of the driver himself, the arm out of the window. So we've seen this before where he stops. It looks like it might be the end of the pursuit, but as soon as those police officers make a motion to get him into custody, then he takes off again, and now turning down one of the other service streets here in South L.A.
By the way, we're looking at 52nd and Broadway is where this pursuit taking place really at this hour. Again, it's kind of very close to the 110 freeway in the South L.A. area. He's been in and around this neighborhood here, on and off the freeway, but for the past several minutes, the driver has continued to stick around in the South LA area on surface streets, and we've been seeing some very bizarre, erratic behavior from the driver, doing donuts, doing U-turns, driving at different rates of speed, slowing down to almost a stop, talking to homeless people living in encampments along the 110 freeway, doing high fives with them, appearing to like hand something to them or maybe grab something from them. Just extremely bizarre behavior that we've been seeing now. The driver opening and closing the window and flailing the arms about here, but certainly a really dangerous situation as it continues to break every traffic rule on the roadways here. We've even seen this driver go at a very high rate of speed through some intersections here, weaving through and threading the needle, barely missing cross traffic.
Now you see those stop signs, those intersections, this residential community, narrow roadways, a lot of hazard for the public as well as the motoring public and the pedestrians. You're in a quiet residential area. There's people on bicycles, a lot of hazard. I wouldn't surprise me if they try to do a pit maneuver on this vehicle to bring this to an end before someone gets hurt. They don't want to damage the car because of the rightful owner, but the fact is, this situation has to come to an end for public safety.
Just did a pit. Just was able to just get the back end of it, but that didn't do much to this reported stolen KIA Sorrento there. You saw that,
That was
Dennis?
an interesting strategy because in the middle of the intersection, the driver was already planning on either doing a donut or a U-turn, and just as they were doing that,
Clipped it.
The officer then clipped the car there to try to get this driver to stop. But now the driver just speeds up and goes away.
And the problem with the pit maneuver, you cause damage to the car. Again, this car is owned by someone. The officers don't want to cause damage to that car. But again, at the same time, they've got to bring this to an end as quickly as possible. You're in a residential area. You got all the hazards with the residential area. You've seen the driving pattern, very erratic, very hazardous for the motoring public, for the pedestrians, for the bicycles, etc. So you've got to bring this to a quick solution and not continue, because you're then exposing so many individuals to the hazard of this individual who doesn't want to cooperate, doesn't want to comply. And then we see people coming out, people probably watching on Channel 11, they're coming out of their homes now, they see it going down their residential streets, and now you got more hazards for the public that wants to go out into the street. It's a dangerous situation, getting more dangerous. Again, to bring it to an end as quickly as possible is what's necessary right now.
As this continues on at a fast rate of speed, there are more pedestrians there, as people crossing the street with some sort of a buggy, people standing outside. So people crossing intersections there, lots of pedestrians out here, lots of cars on the roadway, and this driver driving at a very high rate of speed.
And the speed limit in residential areas is normally 25, sometimes it's posted 35, but you see the vehicle going much faster than that through these there's also narrow, quiet residential streets with cars parked, driveways, across traffic. There's a lot of hazard as we see when we come up to this particular area. Here we see a lot of pedestrians, our cars, all the factors that lead into something that could be very, very serious, injure a lot of people.
Well, now we understand that he's on 54th Street. This is South L.A. As we approach 2:30, this was picked up about 1:30. So this pursuit of this reported stolen red Kia Sorrento has been underway in the South L.A. area for about an hour now, almost an hour. Throwing more things here out of the window as the suspect approaches this intersection, goes around the unsuspecting traffic, and makes a right turn. You can see on the bumper, though, right, that some of the bumper is, in fact, hanging off as he makes another U-turn here. Oh, donuts.
Yes.
More donuts.
I'm here.
Right.
That bumper, that was damaged probably when the unit tried to do the pit on the bumper.
Oh, you're going to see right here.
Stand by.
What
you will see now. Now the officer is now ramming, broadsiding the car completely, and two cars. This I have not seen before. When you have two cars that are now ramming and broadsiding the vehicle and slamming into another parked vehicle, bringing this pursuit to a complete stop there. And now all of these officers have completely surrounded that vehicle. Officers are coming out, guns drawn.
At least 5 vehicles here, at least 10 officers. Dennis, what do you make of this?
Well, they needed to bring this to an end. It was definitely becoming extremely hazardous. Pit maneuver would be great. It didn't work. They have to bring this to an end. So, they're going to have the non-lethal weapons out. They're going to order the individual out of the car. The officers have non-lethal along with lethal weapons. They will surround that car, order that individual out. You see the officers will be using their police vehicles for shields. They want that individual out of the car.
Well, here comes the driver outside of the vehicle. He's not wearing a shirt. It doesn't appear. He has to because the other car, the police cruiser, had broadsided the vehicle, so it looks like he might not be able to open his door. The only way he can get out is to climb out of the vehicle, out of the window, and then now he is on the ground.
And officially about to be put into handcuffs.
So the sad part about this is whoever owns that car is going to have a damaged car. But again, we brought this to a successful conclusion without endangering a lot of people as this individual is driving in such a careless, reckless manner. So a number of officers that are taken into custody, handcuff them. There'll be a supervisor. There is a supervisor at the scene that will maintain control over the situation. And the individual will be taken down to probably 77 station and booked. Car will be impounded and returned to the owner.
Well,
but again,
from here you can see all the major damage that was done to the vehicle. That was broadsided by that police cruiser. Completely hit it on the driver's side. You could see the airbags had deployed there. The right rear wheel is askew there, so completely as it hit the curb, also completely destroyed this vehicle. And now this person taken into custody.
Not to mention the other vehicle that I believe may have been parked. It looked like an SUV. There it is, right there. I'm not sure if people are in that vehicle. It looks like there are. So that was,
wow.
In fact, there's a driver of that vehicle.
Inside that parked vehicle. Looks like that driver is getting out and walking around and pointing at officers. So it looks like, he might be limping here, but it looks like, for all intents and purposes, from what we've seen throughout this pursuit that's been going on for the better part of an hour here, it could have been much, much worse. We could have seen some major injuries here as this pursuit went through several surface streets and on the freeway, ending with this dramatic crash at this intersection in South L.A., again, hitting that parked vehicle, but it looks like the driver of that parked vehicle was able to walk away from that incident with... It doesn't look like there are no apparent major injuries there.
So this is specifically 54th and Broadway and South L.A. And this, in fact, South L.A. is where this pursuit was picked up of this reported stolen Kia Sorrento there, now badly damaged. That suspect being taken into custody, being checked out by officers right now. And as Bob was saying, it could have been much worse. We appreciate Dennis Zine, as always, police specialist, for lending his insight into this latest pursuit in Los Angeles.
All right, we're going to make sure we wrap this up for you. We'll have a full report on the Fox 11 News at 5 o'clock. Again, this police pursuit, dramatic police pursuit coming to an end at 54th and Broadway. We'll have a full report on the Fox 11 News at 5 o'clock. We'll bring it to your regular program.
This has been a Fox 11 News special report.
Maybe you have to move in with your parents and things get bad.
So if you price it a little under what you were thinking, you might get more people interested and then get into a little bit of a bidding war kind of a vibe?
Always. Think about how you buy anything. Instead of $12.99, it's $9.99. It makes you feel better.
Strategize.
Yes.
All right, I got it. What's next?
So other than that, I think we have somebody.
We're going to start
audience.
with our Susan, with our audience members. I think Susan is going first.
I'm getting ready to sell. My youngest daughter's moving out of the house, so we're going to be empty nesters.
Okay.
But just thinking of the best.
It looks like 5 Echo Tango Lima 330. Yep. You need the plates on the Kia. 7 Uniform Hotel Bravo 125 is the Kia. Did you get that, Andrew? All right, this is all over except for the insurance claims. Okay, thank you.